Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the morning pre-market session for Friday, June the 20th, 2014, TGIF. My name is Doug McKay, and I am the founder and head moderator at Quantum Leap. Quantum Leap is coming up on our 5th anniversary this year, and we have a private Skype room. We are retail traders operating within a self-organized learning environment. Each morning we come together and talk about the market, and I go through our daily routine to get us prepared for trading and set up our levels to trade and our main hypothesis for today. Unfortunately, they just stole my trade and went up and took out that 54.75, made a new Globex high at 55.50. Anyway, we'll get into all of that. If you're interested in checking us out, send me a contact request on Skype to Doug_McKay. I'll be the one from Windsor, Ontario, Canada. And if you want, you can send me an email to d.mckay@stealthtrader.com. So what we do each morning is we go through the macro to the micro in terms of the key numbers and the trends within the different time frames, and then we get into some more in-depth chart analysis, and then we set our trade levels up and our targets for the day. But before we do anything, of course, we've got to get these stupid legals out of the way, so let's do that. This information is for the purpose of educating members who want to expand the knowledge of the business of trading. It's not for trading or investment advice. You and only you are responsible for the trades or investment decisions you make. Trading futures or any instrument involves risk or loss. Please consider carefully whether futures or options are appropriate to your financial situation. Only risk capital should be used when trading futures or options. Investors could lose more than an initial investment. Nobody at Quantum Leap is a certified trading advisor. We are retail traders operating within a self-organized learning environment. Past performance is not indicative of future results, and any trends that you see in Quantum Leap are for education purposes only. Trade your own. Do your own due diligence and trade your own trade plan. All right, so let's take a look at this. We just took out this 1954.75. And if anybody's been in the room for the last couple of weeks, I have talked about this, the fact that anytime you get a all-time new high put in one contract and then we roll over and it gets adjusted, which was adjusted, this 54.75 was adjusted down to 47.50. They do not like to leave that number alone, and we were likely to go up and equalize, this is what I call equalization, of the two contract all-time highs, and we just did that in the last 15 minutes. So that trade's over. Now we've got to take a look at what's going to happen. But our new all-time high right now is 1955.50. At least I think it is, if we haven't gone and made any new highs. So let me just take a look at that. Nope, still there. And go back here. So that's the key level to look at. Now here's a good thing. 1955.50, all-time new high put in the Globex. Guess what? The RTH people don't like that. They're likely to go and test that 1955 in the RTH. So this is still going to be a key number. Really nothing else to look at in the macro level of the numbers. You've got 1921.25. I don't think we're going to see that today. So, just let's go right over to yesterday's intraday numbers. You can see that we're back in this trend. We had this very strong trend going. We had a little bit of a pullback. They found the buyers, and then the buyers took control and kept us moving up. Our open yesterday in the Globex, 1948, we had a high at 51.25 and a low at 47.75, and then we opened auction just barely in range yesterday at 50.25. Open option in range. We broke the IB to one side for a normal variation. Didn't take out the 54.75 yesterday, but as I said, anytime you get a neutral extreme day, you generally get a continuation on that, and we just kind of stalled out yesterday and didn't get to the 54, but they just went and did that. I won't even say it. I'm mad that I missed it. All right, we had an opening swing yesterday at 52.25 and the opening swing low at 49 for 3.25 points. We ended up with a rotational day. Again, if you haven't already written down those checklists for the auction logic for the open to determine the day type, do that. Our initial balance high, 52.25, initial balance low, 47.25 for a 5-point initial balance. And then you can see all our intraday numbers for the RTH were higher. Higher 1230 number 46, higher high 52.25, higher low at 44, and we closed higher at 50.25, and our VPOC shifted up 2 ticks up to 50. Our 20-day ATR targets are again, tightening again. Just over 10 on the RTH, just under 11.75 on the full session, and just over 6 on the Globex. Man, this is getting really tight on the Globex. Our value area high 50.50, our value area low 47. We're both higher for a 3.5 point value area, and you can see we're back to breaking the IB at the most probable time within that second pocket just before 10 o'clock Central. Again, volume was slightly higher at 1.2 in the RTH and 1.4 in the full session. Going to be very interesting today when we get the COT report. So if you got time over the weekend, I'm sure Howard's going to post it. Take a look at that COT report, because I think it's going to be an interesting report to look at. Going over to the daily report, we just had the Canadian retail sales and Canadian core CPI, but we really don't have any scheduled news today. So nothing really to revalue the market. Currently, right now, we have a full session high at 55.50 and 48.25 low. So our ATR 20-day targets to the upside, 1960 or 59.75 is probably the safer number, and then to the low side, we have 43.75, call it 44 for the sake of a few ticks. Let's go over and take a look at the macro to the micro on the different time frames, and see what we are in terms of our trend. Trend is very strong on the monthly. Good slope, good separation. Trend is very strong on the monthly. On the weekly, same thing. We do have a bit of a technical gap, but likely going to close this tech gap through time versus price, and just move sideways in consolidation until we close this gap. It's pretty close to it was pretty close to getting closed out overnight. I'm sorry, this week, at the end of the week. But the trend itself is still strong. Good slope, good separation on the weekly. Going over to the daily, you can see that we're back into this trend. We're paralleling the 9 EMA pretty nicely. A little bit of a technical gap, but I really wouldn't consider it needing to be closed because the price is paralleling the 9. But you got good slope and separation, so the trend is still intact. We never broke below the 20 SMA once we had that tech gap fill earlier this week. Going over to the geometric chart, well, we are still riding the center line of the smaller time frame upward sloping fork. Break above that fork today will take us above 1957.25, and likely go and test the upper line of the longer term or intermediate term upward sloping fork at 1963.50 area. If we reject this line today, a possible rotation down to test the lower line of the short-term upward sloping fork will take us down to 1933.75. Don't think it's going to happen today. I think we're going to get a sideways day. We're going to chop in this mess and possibly drift higher going into the weekend. We do still have this energy point up here at 1967.50 area, so you got to watch for this, and that's due sometime next week. When is that next week? 26th. The 26th is Thursday next week. So I think we kind of chop around here and come up and test this this energy point up here on the geometric chart. Let's go take a look at the intraday trends coming into this market and see what it looks like. 4-hour, beautiful tech gap fill. We talked about that yesterday. And then we've held the 9 EMA and we're, went up and just made new highs today at 1955.50. But you can see the slope and the separation is up on the 4-hour. We have a very strong trend going in the 4-hour. On 30-minute, possible tech gap, Mr. Sneaky FUBAR. This could be a FUBAR on the 30-minute. You've got higher than normal volume. You've got a strong green candle with possible wick the size of the body. I'd be watching the next 30 minutes. If we get a Mr. Sneaky, an inside bar here, then you've got a tech gap FUBAR Mr. Sneaky setup and likely get a rotation back down into the range from yesterday. Going to the 15-minute, you've got a same thing on the 15-minute, and this is the same setup. You've got, larger than normal volume. You've got a large green candle. Not so much the wick is size of the body, but it's it's a very weak FUBAR. But you're getting a Mr. Sneaky here, so you could get a a tech gap FUBAR Mr. Sneaky on the 15-minute as well. Tech gap will take us down into that 1952 area. Going to the 5-minute, we've already had the tech gap FUBAR on the 5-minute, and we've already come down and closed the gap there. So three exact setups on the 3 different time frames, and the first one's already played out. And we just closed the gap. So watch for them to hold this 1953. If they don't hold this 1953, I'd be looking into a move down to 1952. Overall, though, on all the time frames, the trend is strong and with good slope and separation. Let's go and take a look at what the Globex, the big picture looks like. So we, just to put everything into context, we had strong balance around the 1858 area, came up, held value in around the microcomposite VPOC, where we put in that all-time high at 1891.25, and then we broke out of balance, accepted value at 1914.50, went up, put the all-time high in at 1954.75, adjusted to 1947.50 on the September contract, rotated back down, and then they found and held value down here at 1929.50, and then they broke out of that balance, went up and made the new all-time high, and balanced those two levels out. The 54.75 and the 47.50 is now balanced, and we're trying to hold value up here in around this 1949.25, and we're trading 53.75 in an area that is untested before. So let's go take a look at our overnight numbers and start moving our levels over. So we've got a new all-time high overnight at 55.50. We got a overnight low at 48.25. And our VPOC is down here at 49.50, just below yesterday's RTH VPOC, 2 ticks below that. We are currently trading outside of range, outside of value, so we have to watch for initiative buyers stepping in here and ripping us up to make new all-time highs and take out the overnight high at 55.50. Our first level that we've got to look at, a possibility and more likely to happen because of the tech gap FUBAR Mr. Sneaky, is a retest of this 52.25 area on the range high from yesterday. If we break inside of the 52.25, look for them to rotate down to test the first target and the value area high from yesterday at 50.50, but likely come all the way down and test this 1950 naked VPOC. Our naked close and the gap close on this will be 50.25. So, good target inside a range would be that 50.50. I'd want to get short below 52.25 and get funded before you get to the value area high. But again, we're opening up outside of range and outside of value, so you have to worry about initiative buyers stepping in and just going up and take out that 55.50. It's going to be a tough morning, gang. I mean, we're in new uncharted territory. They took our trade of that 54.75 equalization out already, so now you really can't do anything until, we really can't do anything if you're not already long until we come back into this 52.25 and see how they treat the range high from yesterday. Below it, you can get short. If we come down and reject it and the buyers step in to defend the range, then you can get long off of it. There's nothing else that will give you any real edge right now. You know, I wouldn't want to be trying to short this from up here, and I wouldn't want to get long right here because of that tech gap, Mr. Sneaky FUBAR. So right now, you got to sit on your hands. If you've had a good week, I would suggest take the day off, go do something you know, with your family, because it's really not a great setup this morning. If we do get inside of 52.50, your target and first test will be here at 50.50, but likely again coming down to the 50. If we get inside of value and we start chopping around here, we get 2 TPO counts, look for them to take out the overnight low. If you know, we've got 96% probability to take out the overnight low. If they don't take out the overnight low or overnight high, if they don't take out that overnight high on the open and they do get inside a range, I think the probability of taking out the overnight low is better, because it's also, you know, right at the midpoint and the VWAP from yesterday's RTH profile. If we stick around inside of the range and inside of value, look for an 80% rule to kick in and a test down to the other side of balance, which would be down here at 1947. You know, there is a small CLVN at 48.25, but I really don't see that holding. I think they take that out and push through to the 1947.25. The low value, look for them to rotate back down to test the other side of this balance around 49.5, and that's down at 43.75, and that will give us a test of the range low from yesterday at 44. So, you know, 43.75. If we break below that level, then everything shifts down to this 39.25, because that puts us inside of the longer-term micro-composite value area high at 43.50. So that 43.75, 44, 43.50 area is going to become a key line in the sand in terms of whether or not we hold higher and continue this move up. Below 43.75, then I think we get a stronger move down to test this 39.50, and that 39.25, I should say. That will be the first target, below range and below value. The other side of balance around that is 37.75, and that would be an area I'd be looking for responsive buyers to step in. But if we break below that, then I think we're going to come down all the way down to this level down here. This is a pretty blunt area on the profile. This needs a lot of repair down here. So we're likely to rotate down towards this 34, 31, but it's really the 29.50 that I'll be looking at. That I can just move up slightly higher, and with targets, initial targets at 34, and 31.25. And then below that, the other side of that balance is all the way down here at 24.25, and then you know what I feel about this 22.75. 22.75, I think, is really going to tell the tale for a bigger retracement down to test the lower area and come back to this 1914.50 where we started this whole breakout and accepted the value above the balance that we broke out of. We broke out of, came up, had strong moves up here. We've got a couple gaps down here, but this will be our first really key test of the levels below us right now, and a move out of this balance zone. But I think, the next week, it's all going to be about this range between, 22 and this new high at 55.50 if we don't continue to go up and make new highs here. Seems they're holding value pretty strong above this range right now, so they're likely to take out, we're likely to see some initiative buyers stepping in. And again, there's no real trade up here. So, everything's got to be off of 52.25 today in terms of having a true edge and a safe trade. Up here, it's, you're basically, testing. I mean, if you wanted to get long right now into 55.50, I wouldn't, I wouldn't fault that, but you got to have your stop all the way below 52.25. So, to me, sit on your hands this morning until we see what this market does. And if it just rips higher, what are you going to do? Going to fade all-time new highs? I don't think so. Let's take a look at the Russell. All right, so we've gone up and we've tested the range high from yesterday at 82.50. That is our overnight high. And then, we had inside Mr. Sneaky here. Okay, so right now we're in this upper distribution zone of yesterday's TF. So everything is going to be about this 1180 level right here. And I'll show you why. You've got this 80.50 value area high from last night, but we're trading inside of this range right here, and the CLVN is right here at 79.50. So that's, right below us at the range high at 79.50 here. So I'd be using this level right here, because this is a little bit better than the ES. If we break below this, then look for them to come down, test the value area high at 79, but you've got a lot of nice targets down here. You've got the naked VPOC at 78, and you've got the naked close at 78.50. So, I think that, if we can't hold this 80 level, I wait to get short below 79.50, just so that you're, below the CLVN. Let me just get an accurate read on this. Whoops, wrong one. 79.30. So you know what? I would actually wait for them to, if you want to take the riskier trade, take it at 80 into the test of 79, the value area high. But if we get inside of this value area high, we're also going to get below the CLVN, and I'd be looking for, this would be a good trade down here into the naked VPOC and the gap close, with a continuation to test the midpoint and the value area, the VWAP from yesterday, and the other side of this middle distribution. We've got a triple distribution from yesterday on the Russell. So the other side of that balance is 76. You've got 77.25 as your key CLVN below. But I would think that they would push through down to the 76.70 area and test the overnight low and the VWAP and the midpoint from yesterday. Below that, then you got a very strong move and a high probability of the value area trade and a move down to the HVN of the lower distribution down here where we had the VPOC most of the day yesterday at 75.30, but I would be looking for them to come down to 74.40 and test the value area low on a 80% rule. So I'd be putting my trade there. Below 74, sorry, we're in this area of the composite that is, unauctioned properly. So I think we come back down here below 77 and we just chop around here with your first destination. Hold on, sorry. Getting a frog in my throat here. And I think we just chop around in this distribution down here, with the first target being 67.60, the value area high from the micro composite. But you've got 71 just in front of that, which would be the range low. And I posted my thoughts about the Russell earlier in the room. If we break outside of the prior day range, you've got really nice move down to test the value area high and this naked VPOC down here at 67.50, with the other side of that smaller balance and the first resistance going to be in around 66, but I really think we see 65.25, and then 63, and I would use 65.25 as a target below range. 67.50 is definitely your first target, but 65.20, and then the other side of that balance is 63.40. I'd look for possible responsive buyers to step in there. And then below that, we're getting back into the balance area. We're inside of value. We're below the CLVN at 63.40. Everything shifts down to this 59.10 as a return to balance. I don't think we're going to see it go that low today. I think we could probably play ping pong between the 78 and this 81 today, possibly even retest the high at 82 and test the upward side of balance up here at 84. So 84 is going to be your first target above value and above range. Actually, I'm going to make it a target in a trade area because you would expect responsive sellers to possibly step in at this level here. Above 84, then there's really not much until we get to 87, 70. And, again, there's not a lot to hold us down until we get all the way up into this 92 area. And little minor resistance right here at the 93 level. But I think once we're in the 90s, look for them to move up and come up to this naked microcomposite VPOC and CHVN. And I think that we get into the 90s, 1200 is going to be a big pull, with the all-time high being at 1203.80. Above 1203.80, look for a rule of 10 to kick in and then move up to that 1210. That's what I'm looking at. Russell, and let's go look at gold. What a strong move. We even surpassed that 1293 and got back up into the 1300s. So right now we've got a weak high here at 2270, but we made a very strong move. So we're likely to stall out. I don't think the move is over. The key line in the sand below us right now is this 1307. If we can hold 1307, I think we chop inside of this area, go up and break this weak high, and test this, this 1325. Remember, this was where we tried to hold value on that last swing high up at 1332.20. The composite, microcomposite VPOC, I should say, is at 1325.50, and you've got 24.40 as your CHVN there. So if we can hold above this 1307, I think we just chop around here, take out the weak high, go up and test this level, and possibly test the other side of this balance up here at 1329. Above 1329, 1332.20 is your target, and there's really not much above that until delete profile. It's really not much above here. Resistance really doesn't come into play until we get up to this 1346.20. You got minor resistance here at the 29.90, but I think we're just going to chop around in this area right now for the next couple days, as long as we hold above this 1307. Below 1307, then I think we're going to rotate back down to the composite VPOC and the microcomposite VPOC in between the 1293 and 1294 level. This minor support that they've got at 1300, don't think it's going to hold. Everything to me is all about this 1307. 1307 fails, and we get back into the 1200s, and we come down, and the first bounce will be off of this 1293. Maybe even push down to 1289, but I think we'll get a strong bounce because they blew right through. The sellers did not step in at this 1293. They went and they got back into the 1300s. So if they come back down to this area, I think we'll get a strong bounce from 93 back up to 1300. It'll actually be not a bad little trade, and you could take it both ways. I'd take the break below 1307 into testing the 1293. Just watch that 1300 level when we retest it. But I think it'll get broken and down to 93. Then I would actually reverse it, and I would get long off of this 1293 because we're likely to get a bounce. Since the sellers didn't step in, the buyers are going to step in on the way down. That's what I'm looking at gold. So that's going to complete our our morning homework session. We're making, where are we trading right now on ES? Yeah, they're holding pretty strong here. We'd probably even go out and take that 55.50 out and make a new Globex high even before we get into the RTH session. Buyers seem to be strongly in control right now. All right, let me get these charts out for you guys. Yeah, we're going to make a new Globex high. Nothing worse than them stealing trades before we even open. There's the takeout of the high. Let's see how high we go here. There is no short in the ES this morning until we get below that. I'm not going to put this chart out until we see what the Globex high is. There's the new high. Congratulations to anybody that took that long as suggested at the beginning of this session.